What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cam ATL. Shout out to the DFS squad. Shout out to everybody watching this video right now. Drop a like down below because I already know you're gonna love it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you comment anything down in the comment section and enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. Thank you for joining me once again. This is the final look video for Week 10 NFL. As you guys know, early on in the week, we put a first look together where we just talk about the guys in the first look. And then we go through on this final look and we go through position by position talking about all of the players that we like on this slate. And why we like them. All right. So it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy-ish video, about 20 minutes probably. So sit back, relax, and get ready to get this money, man. Started Week 10 off with a bang with Showdown doing great last night, Thursday night. So let's go ahead and keep it going through this weekend, man. Starting off at quarterback. Now, at the top, we have Lamar Jackson. He is a super threat on the ground week in, week out. This dude's an absolute monster. Has a very, very nice floor just off his rushing ability. Against this Cincinnati team already, he absolutely dominated them with 33 Draftkings points. He's just an amazing option. He rushed for 152 yards against the Cincinnati team last time. Okay, and that was with only one touchdown total. Okay, he got 33 and only scored one touchdown. Okay, that's how much potential he has. That's what the kind of floor that he has with that rushing ability. And really, he doesn't even need a bunch of touchdowns to hit value. He can hit it with his feet. So Lamar, if you have the money, is my favorite quarterback. I think he's going to be the highest scoring most likely. But honestly, I've talked about it multiple times. Drew Brees at home in New Orleans is a whole nother monster going against Atlanta. Now, maybe we'll have to second guess this a little bit if Matt Ryan does not play, because then maybe Atlanta struggles to keep up and then it turns into a lot of Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees isn't having to really do a whole bunch, especially with him having that splint on his thumb. I don't see if they get up them really making him do much. I think it's going to be a ton of Alvin Kamara, who is finally back. So keep an eye on that. Honestly, if Matt Ryan doesn't play, I probably will just be going Lamar Jackson and feel super, super comfortable with my decision. I understand he's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now, but he's back. He returned to full practice. He's good to go. Okay, and he's going to be good to run all over the Cincinnati defense. And the dude, he's had one down game all year, and that was at Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh defense has been really strong this year. But this Cincinnati defense has been struggling a ton, man. If Jared Goff can get 25, Minshew can get 21, Murray, the same type of quarterback, can get 25, then Lamar's floor is about 25, but he has the upside of about 35, 40 here in this matchup. So I love Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes is back. He's been practicing fully. Most likely he will be playing in this game against Tennessee. We know what Patrick Mahomes is capable of, and he's $300 cheaper than Lamar. So I love Patrick Mahomes this week in GPPs. I think a lot of people will be off of him. But we know who Patrick Mahomes is. Every single week last year, he was like the highest scoring quarterback every week. Okay, so we know his potential, so don't sleep on him. Jameis Winston against Arizona is also another option right there around the Drew Brees price tag. That is a great choice. You're going to hear me starting my coffee in the background. My bad. Anyways, Jameis against Arizona is an amazing option. Arizona just runs a ton of plays, and Tampa Bay has been throwing the ball a ton. So at 6'8", I like him. I still lean Drew Brees, especially if Matt Ryan plays for this Atlanta team. I definitely love Drew Brees a lot more. But if Matt Ryan's not playing, it does bother me the fact that that game might get out of hand. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that again about Drew Brees because I know I put him in the first look fave lineup, and the only thing that bothers me with him is possible blowout. Okay, that's it if Matt Ryan doesn't play. All right, next up, let me walk away what my coffee is making because it's annoying. All right, now let's talk about Kyler Murray against Tampa Bay. This is a solid matchup for him as well against Tampa Bay. Super, super solid matchup. He has been up and down this year, okay? I mean, he had a 6 at New York, which is ridiculous, 10 at New Orleans, and then he bounced back with a 23. I think he has another solid game here against Tampa Bay, who gave up over 42 to Russell Wilson last week, over 31 to Teddy Bridgewater. I think Kyler Murray is a safe option. I think he's going to do very solid. Another guy that I want to talk about that I want to make sure I do not skip over, and that is Ryan Tannehill. This dude, the last 3 weeks, has been very sneakily solid. 23 against the Chargers, 19 against Tampa Bay, and then 28 against Carolina. Now gets to go against Kansas City, who gave up over 30 to Rodgers, over 21 to Cousins, over 31 to Watson. Now, obviously, all 3 of those quarterbacks I just mentioned are better than Ryan Tannehill, but Tannehill's going against a Kansas City team that's getting Patrick Mahomes back, so that offense is going to be firing on all cylinders, forcing Tannehill to throw a ton. I really like Tannehill at 5-1. It's a really, really interesting play here because he's throwing a ton. He will have to throw a ton in this game against Kansas City, who has a bad secondary. And Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes back, so we already know. It's an amazing situation for Ryan Tannehill. I really, really like him this week as a cheap option if you want to spend down. Outside of that, really, I'm leaning going all the way up to Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees, or Jameis Winston. Those are my 3 favorite quarterbacks. And then if I need the save, it's going to be Ryan Tannehill. And in GPPs, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to get really slept on this week. And I don't think he should be. I think I'm fine with taking advantage of that in GPPs with Patrick Mahomes for sure. Outside of that, I mean, you can consider Josh Allen. You can consider Sam Darnold, but none of those guys really feel too great. So that's about it for quarterbacks. Those are the main guys you want to focus on. At running back, Christian McCaffrey is my guy, okay? I have had no issues making my lineups, paying up for Christian McCaffrey in every single one, and it's been completely fine. Okay, we've got some decent value on this slate. And so McCaffrey is definitely in play here. Going against the Green Bay team, they gave up over 25 to Melvin Gordon. I mean, they've just been giving it up to running backs this year. And, I mean, come on. McCaffrey's an absolute monster. I absolutely love him. I think he's going to get even more exposure in the pass game in this game because Green Bay's probably going to get up against Carolina. He has been practicing in a little bit of a limited fashion, remember, but he is most likely going to be there. He's going to be fine. Okay, so I'm not worried too much about McCaffrey, and his ability is just he's safer than everybody else. It's not even close. Saquon Barkley interests me a lot here against the Jets because you got Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard both out of this Giants offense. Now, the Jets could easily stack the box, shut down Saquon, and make some other random guy beat him. And that's what I would see happen. So it scares me a little bit with Saquon, but at 8-8, if you want to take the chance on it, it's completely fine. All right. Alvin Kamara against Atlanta. Now, we talked about a scenario where New Orleans absolutely stomps Atlanta at home in New Orleans without Matt Ryan playing, if Matt Ryan does not play. Now, if Matt Ryan plays, I love all these New Orleans guys. I think Matt Ryan's going to be able to keep the game close. If it ends up being Schaub starting, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, that's why I think it could be a blowout in that point. Maybe I'll have less exposure to New Orleans, at least the quarterback and receivers. But Alvin Kamara is in a great spot here. We know the type of defense Atlanta is. Atlanta's been even worse than ever before this year. They've been horrible. I mean, we've had some injuries in that secondary, and we're really struggling, period. But pass-catching backs, man, it's always been a thing. And it looks like Alvin Kamara is finally back to full strength. So Alvin Kamara at full strength, third highest priced running back on the slate, yeah. I definitely want to get some exposure to Alvin Kamara. I'm very interested in that. He could definitely go off, especially if this game gets out of hand. Kamara's going to get a ton of points. Next up, Marlon Mack at home in Indianapolis. Back home in Indianapolis going against Miami. Great matchup for running backs here. Over 20 to Le'Veon Bell, over 27 to James Conner, over 18 to Adrian Peterson, over 29 to Austin Eckler. Marlon Mack gets a ton of carries on a consistent basis in this offense. He's going to get right around 20 carries. He's going to get you right around 80 to 100 yards and probably a touchdown. I really like him here. Their total is nice. They're big favorites, so expect Marlon Mack to have heavy usage in this offense and expect him to have a very solid game. I really like Marlon Mack this week. All right. Next up, I want to talk about the guys that I love for sure. David Montgomery against Detroit, man. Detroit has been atrocious versus running backs, giving up over 27 to Josh Jacobs, over 28 to Barkley, over 30 to Dalvin Cook, over 16 to LaShawn McCoy, who's not even the main running back in Kansas City. Like, David Montgomery, it has been super solid. The last 2 games, this offense finally they woke up and was like, okay, we got to get this kid involved, period. In the pass game and on the ground, we got to get him involved. He got 27 carries against the Chargers. Okay, 5 targets in the pass game. Then he only got 14 carries, but he got 4 targets in the pass game and 2 touchdowns. Expect him to get into the end zone a few times here against this Detroit team, whether it's in the air or on the ground. He's going to be heavily involved. And at 5'3", David Montgomery is one of my favorite guys. All right, Devin Singletary is also a very, very interesting option this week. Okay, because, I mean, dude, this kid is super duper talented, and it's looking like he is going to be the guy in Buffalo. They're finally going to start giving him that 20 carries, and when he's going to get 20 carries, this is a guy with potential to hit 100 yards every single game. This dude's got tremendous talent. He got a touchdown last game, 95 rushing yards, and 4 targets in the passing game, and going against Cleveland, a team that has struggled against the run, Devin Singletary is a very solid option at 5,000. All right, I talked about him in the first look video. Ronald Jones is very interesting to me too, against a soft Arizona defense that has been absolutely giving it up to running backs this year. He's only 4'3", okay? He's been named the starting running back, so he's going to get you about 15 to 18 carries, I would guess. This team doesn't run enough to get him up to 20, I don't think. But 15 to 18, I could definitely see him getting a goal line touch and getting in the end zone. I really like Ronald Jones a lot this week at 4'3", man. And these are the kind of plays that allow you to get up to Christian McCaffrey and just play it super, super safe with the floor for running back this week. Another guy that I like, I really think that, let me find him. Am I passing him up? Mark Ingram. Let me find him. There he is. Mark Ingram against Cincinnati is a very interesting option as well. It's an amazing matchup against Cincinnati. We know how bad they are against running backs, period. I mean, they gave up over 26 to James Conner. Mark Ingram only got 15.4 Draftkings points against them last game. That's because Lamar Jackson did all the damage on the ground. Now, obviously, I'm going to look more into how Lamar Jackson's feeling health-wise before Sunday. If he's a full go and he's still going to be using his legs like normal, then cool. But if it looks like Lamar might be hindered a little bit by this leg thing, then maybe they just run it a ton with Mark Ingram and kind of take it easy on Lamar Jackson on the ground this week. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But Mark Ingram I'll really like if Lamar's going to be, possibly limited a little bit and told, hey, don't run too much, don't go too crazy. We're having an amazing season so far. We don't want to risk your health against a bad team like Cincinnati. All right. Who else? I've talked about really all the running backs that I'm interested in. There's really nobody else I'm really trying to get too much exposure to. We have a super punt that's a little bit interesting. Kareem Hunt at Bearman 3000. It looks like Kitchens came out and said he will definitely have a role. We never know what this really means. Obviously, he was suspended for the longest time for hitting that woman. So he was out for 8 games, I believe, 8-game suspension. Obviously, Chubb is the main guy here. Hunt will probably get like 5 to 10 carries probably, maybe get something in the pass game. And this dude, honestly, this dude's a great athlete. He could break one, he could score. And at Bear 3000, he's an interesting GPP option. Because if he goes out here and gets in the end zone on breaks a big play at 3,000, that opens up a ton for your lineup. So I just wanted to mention him. Let's go ahead and go to wide receivers. Now, in no way, let me reiterate, in no way am I saying that Kareem Hunt's going to get a ton of carries and he's super safe and he's awesome. No. At 3,000, if he breaks one, I'm saying if he breaks one, which is what you want to look for in GPPs, at 3,000, he's going to be great. All right. All right. Talking wide receivers, Michael Thomas is my main dude, especially if Matt Ryan plays. This dude gets so many targets. He's an absolute monster as long as Drew Brees is back there. Even with Bridgewater, he was a monster. He gets so many targets that, Michael Thomas is by far and away my favorite option. We got Tyreek Hill has Patrick Mahomes back. That's going to give him a big bump, even though he's been fairly solid regardless. Ever since he came back, 25, 16, 14, 29. It's amazing how much this dude can do once that ball hits his hands. Like, he is so slithery. It's hard to get this dude, and it's just amazing to watch him play. This dude's a big play at any moment kind of guy. This shit can just pop off at any moment. But yeah, Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes back there, he's a solid option as well. I always love Tyreek in GPPs because this dude could get like 2 long bomb touchdowns. He could get you like 40 points, especially with Mahomes back there, back healthy at quarterback. I don't like Mike Evans too much. The guy I'm leaning is Chris Godwin, solely because Patrick Peterson's going to be on Mike Evans mostly. And that should open up Chris Godwin against Tremaine Brock. Which is a solid option here which is a solid situation for Godwin. So I really think that Evans is going to have a toughish time against Peterson, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and that should open up a lot to Godwin. So if I had to choose a Tampa Bay receiver, it would be Chris Godwin this week. Now, next guy I want to talk about is Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is a great option to me this week going against Tampa Bay. He'll be going against Sean Murphy Bunting, who has been absolutely garbage, like bottom in the league type cornerback. Gave up over 30 to DK Metcalf last week, over 23 to Curtis Samuel. I do believe Christian Kirk is better overall than Curtis Samuel. Okay, and I think he's going to get enough targets in this pass game. He's going to get you about 8 targets in this game, especially in a game where Tampa Bay should be scoring. Arizona's going to have to air it out. I really like Kirk at 5.2. It seems too cheap. I already talked about Ted Ginn. I'm not going to go open him up, but I talked about Ted Ginn already. Really like Ted Ginn as a cheap option. He's 3.7. He's got Drew Brees as his quarterback, and he's going against Atlanta. Plain and simple. Zach Pascal at home in Indianapolis going against Miami. Once again, dude, Ty Hilton is out. This dude's going to get some good targets in the pass game. Probably get in the end zone against this horrible Miami secondary. So really like Zach Pascal. Pittsburgh's defense has been super solid this year, but Cooper Kupp, we all know what he's capable of. He's capable of what he did to Cincinnati last week with 38 points. He got 220 receiving yards, 10 targets, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Like, that's the type of thing that we know he's capable of, and at 7.3, he could go crazy. I'm not playing much of him. I'm reserving him kind of for GPP, though, to be honest with you, because Pittsburgh's D is solid. Mike Hilton's not too bad as a corner. Jamison Crowder is interesting against the Giants. He got back to getting some good targets, 9 targets last game and a touchdown. It's just so up and down with this guy. Like, he could go from getting 20 damn targets to getting 3. Like, that's the whole issue is which Darnold are you going to get? Are you going to get a Darnold who can actually get rid of the ball, or are you going to get the Darnold who is getting knocked on every single drop back? That's the thing you got to worry about. Golden Tate is very interesting to me this week, if I can find him. I don't know why I'm randomly trying to just find these guys. Why don't I just type in their names? But Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Evan Ingram are out. So Tate is a very safe bet to hit value this week at 5.9. I wish the price was a little lower, honestly, but he has the potential to get you 25 like he did against New England, and that's when guys were missing again. And now that Evan Ingram's a big target guy, Shepard's a solid target guy. Yes, Barkley's back, but honestly, I would think the Jets are going to try to shut down Barkley. That should open up a lot in the pass game for Golden Tate. I think Tate's going to have a great game here at 5.9. Another guy that I want to talk about, let's talk about a few more. I've mainly talked about the main ones that I want to talk about. But Sammy Watkins, now that Mahomes is back, is obviously going to get a bump. He's 5.1. I really like him here. He got 8 targets, 10 targets the last 2 games. Now with Mahomes back, he's probably not going to get that many because Hill's going to get more attention in this. And Kansas City probably is going to get up against Tennessee and then run a lot, I'd say. But Sammy Watkins is a solid option, only 5.1, got that big playability. I really, really like Sammy Watkins. Any other guys that stick out? Darius Slayton. I will talk about Darius Slayton real quick. He's interesting because we have Sterling Shepard out, Evan Ingram out. Somebody's got to step up for the Giants. Larry Fitzgerald is also another solid option. I know I've been going a ton of Detroit receivers, but this week I'm kind of taking chill time on that. I won't be playing Detroit receivers against Chicago's D or Matthew Stafford, especially in Chicago. No, thank you. Cole Beasley's been having a super consistent, solid season. If you need a spend down at 4.1, he's going to consistently get you about 8 to 10. And that's about it. Let's talk about tight ends. All right, now, at tight end this week, we've got a few options, and I'm really kind of sticking with these options and not really going anybody else. Now, we have Patrick Mahomes back, and that is always a huge bump to Travis Kelce. Okay, he hasn't had a huge game, really. He's only had one big game all season against Oakland week 2 where he got 26 over 100 yards. With Mahomes back here, I think that he's going to rely a lot on Kelce and Tyreek. I think both of those dudes are huge jumps up now with Mahomes back, obviously. And I really think Kelce's fine at 6'4". I mean, it's expensive, though, okay? Another guy I like is Mark Andrews against Cincinnati, especially if you're going Lamar Jackson. I do like pairing these two up. Lamar loves to throw it to his tight end, and last game he did get 14 Draftkings points. He got 8 targets, 6 catches, and only missed the 100-yard reception mark by 1 yard against Cincinnati last time they played this year. So Mark Andrews is solid at 5'2". A lot of the time I'm probably going to be going down and saving with Mike Gesicki. I really like him here because he's been getting some solid targets, and I'm expecting Indianapolis to get up here. Miami have to throw a ton to keep up, and I think this is where Gesicki can definitely stick in here. I mean, he got 8, 3, and 15 the last 4 games. He's been doing solid, man, and at only 3-1 going against a defense that gave up over 14 to Vance McDonald. I think that Gesicki can hit value at 3-1, and he's a solid spend down guy. Outside of that, I'm either going, I like Jared Cook against Atlanta. I like O.J. Howard. But honestly, it's probably going to be Mark Andrews, Austin Hooper, Gesicki, or Kelce is probably the tight ends that I will be sticking with this week. All right, last but not least, let's talk defenses real quick. And honestly, I'm still kind of what I was on. The Steelers' defense at 2-6 seems too cheap for what they've been doing this year. All right, they have one down game against New England. That's understandable in New England. Outside of that, 7, 11, 19, 11, 14, 13, 19, and all the other games. And it's not like they're not giving up points. They're giving points up. They're just getting turnovers. They're getting fumble recoveries. They're getting a ton of sacks. And I just love this situation, man. And for a team that's only 2-6 that's getting all of those things defensively, they just have a solid floor. So Steelers is the defense I'm going to be going a lot of. Other than them, you got the Bills defense as well against Cleveland. That's interesting. Very good situation for them as well. They've been fairly consistent. We know Cleveland can be an offense that just turns the ball over a ton. And outside of those two, really, I'm spending down for defense this week. All right. I mean, you could spend up for Ravens at 4,000. I don't see why. I think the Steelers are completely fine. So I'm going to go Steelers, and we should get this money this week. So you got the Ravens, the Colts, the Saints are interesting if Schaub starts. And then really the main guys that I'm focused on are the Steelers and the Bills. I mean, mostly the Steelers. I'll have mostly Steelers this week. I know the Rams are a good offense, but just off sacks alone, off defensive fumble recoveries, interceptions, they're going to hit floor. They're going to be able to get their floor and up. So their floor this year has been 7. Outside of New England, but I'm not even going to count that because they're at home in Pittsburgh this game. So they're probably going to get you 7 or more, and at 2-6, we will take that all day long. Thank you guys for joining me as always. I hope I was able to touch on everything you guys were wondering about. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, comment anything down in the comment section. Thank you guys for joining me, man. GreenlightDFS.com. Let's kill this Week 10 slate.